This is iron sharpening iron. And away we go.
It's the Wretched Radio Mail Call Delivery Bag Q&A Infotainment Nationwide Extravaganza, featuring your voicemails, correspondences, communiques, dispatches, memorandums, and missives.
Any special message for all the kids watching at home?
What we need right now is a clear message to the people of this country.
You have 1,200 messages.
That is a bit above average.
Now here's your host, Todd Freakishly Tall Friel.
The mail is here!
Ooh, this is Wretched Radio, pleading with you to send questions, comments, conundrums, snarks, stories, sermons, articles, anything that you think is wretched. Please send it to idea@wretched.org. Jimmy, I'm going to beat you to the punch because I have an email. This is the body. This is iron sharpening iron. Do you ever do something, and in the process of doing it, you think to yourself, not sure that I'm doing this right. And then when you're done doing that thing, you keep thinking, I don't know that I did that right. And then you get this email from James, who lovingly wrote this. So I'm watching one of those Wretched TV episodes where you're going through John Newton's advice to the pastor as he's about to publicly challenge another Christian man. Solid. Convicting. And then last night, as I'm driving, I'm listening to you perform full-on condemnation of the bee converting Elon Musk story. And that's when I went, I didn't do that right. Even as I was doing it, I was thinking, why am I off the mark on this? And James lovingly has said it's because you weren't practicing what John Newton was preaching. We can talk about what other Christians are doing, but if they're genuine believers, we should be doing it in a loving way. And I missed that mark when I was talking about the Babylon Bee Elon Musk video that was making the rounds. And so I failed. You, as somebody trying to find that balance between speaking truth and love, I did not model that well. Furthermore, I apologized already to the Babylon Bee, saying, sorry, fellas, I was harsh. I was like Martin Luther. I shouldn't have talked like that about you. My critique stands, but the way I did it, not so good. So, my apologies. Jimmy!
Yes?
Go ahead.
What?
Go ahead.
Go ahead and what?
I talked to you about this yesterday.
You did.
You said what?
You want me to get in trouble?
Go ahead. Join the club.
Yeah. You asked if you were too harsh. I said, maybe you weren't harsh enough.
Ooh. The thing that it really actually, I think, caused me to inappropriately be, I liked it. This is always tricky. I like to think that it was righteous indignation. I enjoy the bee as much as everybody else does. I don't even know the fellas who are there, so I don't have an axe to grind with those guys. They seem to even bend to the right theologically. So it's not about being mad at them. I was just so that the gospel was kind of being bandied about in a way that was jokish. And I know it's tricky when it comes to satire. And there are some people who said, actually, what he did with Elon Musk was satire. They do that with everybody. Now, whether that's true or not, whether they were intending for it to be satirical, I didn't catch that. But what I caught was the gospel was not treated in the manner that I believe it demands from all of us. And so that was like, why are we laughing about this? And if you're going to bring this up, then go for it and really bring the law and the gospel to Elon Musk. You have an opportunity to preach the gospel. I don't care if he's a billionaire or not. So I think it was motivated rightly because I perceived it as an assault on God and his gospel. But I didn't express it right because I think that I sounded kind of angry at the bee guys.
Yeah, I think the critique stands. Just could have said it a little bit better.
Yeah, I could. You know, and I don't know why I've been thinking about it, because this is so important in this particular era that we are living in. We are seeing so many lines being drawn. I think right now the Corinthians are blushing at the way we've gone about being in this camp versus that camp and this camp and that camp. And the big camp is the Orthodox, small O Orthodox camp. That's whatever your stripe is, you're Presbyterian, Baptist, evangelical, you're in the camp. But inside of that camp, our tents have been planted, and we don't tend to think that anybody outside of our tent is actually in our tent. And I think that this is demanding that we just take a look when we have public forums to consider, how are we talking about brothers? Now, false teachers is a different bag. I think that we can employ a lot of sarcasm and a lot of satire. I don't have any problem with that, because I think it's modeled for us regularly in the Bible. But the Babylon Bee guys aren't false teachers, not that I'm aware of. They're not heretics. And so I probably unleashed on them in a way that would be reserved for somebody who isn't in the small O orthodoxy camp. Please send your emails to idea@wretched.org. A buddy of mine sent me a text, and I you know what? I have to read it, because I keep doing it backwards in my mind, and this is so worth grasping this. And it's actually a little bit debatable as to, like, is this completely accurate? Are they exact equivalents? He sent me this. It's no better to compromise love over doctrine than to compromise doctrine over love. I think you could say that first or second reversibly. It's no better to compromise doctrine over love than it is to compromise love over doctrine. The point being, hey, defending theology is important, but so is being loving. Now, are they precise equivalents? Honestly, it would be a pretty interesting debate, because we are the church, the defenders of the faith. We are that. But consider what Paul said in 1 Corinthians 13. If I do not have love, I'm like a gonging, clanging cymbal. I'm just being loud, but I'm not being loving, because there's a high priority on love. Faith, hope, and love. The greatest of these is love. What's going to endure? Love. Faith will be gone because we'll have sight. Hope will not be in heaven because it's been fulfilled in Jesus Christ. But love is going to endure. So, an interesting table talk about which one weighs heavier on the scale, defending the truth or love. Regardless, it seems to me right now the scales are just tipped too heavily. Well, we've got the defense of the truth thing going on. Are we able, though, to deliver it lovingly? And I confess to you, I failed. I failed. And I'm trying to take the time to figure out why. Because I don't want to be that guy. Can we find a lane where we defend the truth and we're serious about salvation? That we hold God in the highest esteem? That we tremble at his word, and yet don't drive down that lane with firearms just blasting away at anybody who has any semblance of a disagreement with us? Can we do that? Can we find that lane? I'm trying. I just had a flat tire and went off the road talking about the bee. So please send your emails to idea@wretched.org, idea@wretched. I took an exit ramp into a different lane.
Oh, I thought you was really talking about the flat tire you actually had.
I actually did have a flat tire. Okay, so here's my theory about flat tires. Our family has experienced a number of flat tires. Jimmy, you have too, right?
Yes, we have.
Okay, here's what I think is going on in Atlanta. I have absolutely no evidence to support this, but these days that makes no difference. Here's my theory. There was a meeting I think that it happened at a resort in Colorado where the CEOs and the CFOs of Goodrich and Goodyear, Firestone, Michelin got together and noticed that sales were slumping, and they came up with a plan to start divisions where they would send people out to the streets with nails and screws and just indiscriminately throw them around in order to increase business. The problem was they couldn't figure out who would take which shift. So they determined, there were 6 of these companies, they determined they needed 6 more so that once a year, each of the tire companies would take a month to throw screws and nails around so that you could get a flat tire and they could make more money. Do I have any evidence of that? Does it matter? No, it does not.
Or
because it's a black helicopter theory. And
yeah, or it could just be all the construction going on around here.
that... Nah, I'm going with the meeting in Colorado. Please send your emails to idea@wretched.org. This is Wretched Radio. You're just watching a 1 segment from the 4 segments that we do every single day on Wretched Radio. If you'd like to watch the whole shebang, you can do so at wretched.org.
Detective Friel, can you tell us what's happening here?
What's happening here is a clear demonstration of the noetic effect of the fall. Genesis 2, Paul elaborates in Romans chapter 3. Jeremiah tells us that everybody's heart is deceitful and wicked. What's going on here? Sin.
Are you confident that these thieves will be brought to justice?
4 words: great white throne judgment.